Hi guys, welcome back to the How to Age Well podcast. My name is Rosaria Barreto Ellis and this is my podcast. I want to say welcome if it's the first time that you're listening to this, or welcome back if you have been listening and supporting me on my journey since starting the podcast in January 2024. Today's podcast episode won't be super long. It's just kind of a consideration and discussion around ageism and grey hair, and how we perceive grey hair in today's society. I also want to say sorry about any noise you hear in the background. My dog is being a right irritant today, and he's walking around, and I have parquet flooring and it's very echoey, so I apologise for any background noise. So ageism is the most widespread form of discrimination in the UK. And half of people aged over 50 in England experienced age discrimination in the last year. So today's episode is going to be mainly focused on age discrimination, focused on later life, not younger people, because there is such thing as younger discrimination. And at least a third of people hold ageist beliefs. I know that I have made ageist comments in the past and heard so many people. I probably hear 3 to 4 ageist comments on a weekly basis. And despite all of these statistics, ageism is still something that over 40% of the population have never really thought about. So I work in a very later life focused, health conditioned industry. My background is clinical exercise. So I work with a lot of older adults who are looking at recovery and from injury, or just from creating bad habits and then losing their physical health, or never having their physical health and trying to get them back to a sustainable way of life that promotes optimizing their quality of life. So something else I kind of want to go into later on is the grey hair perception. But before we do that, here are some common language factors and kind of terminologies and terms and phrases that we use that are quite ageist, that we may not even realise are ageist. So things such as I'm too old, I'm having a senior moment, I should slow down, people my age aren't expected to be active or ambitious, or I can't change careers at my age, it's too late for that. Now, although I'm thinking of people over 60 often use these terms. I've heard people in their 30s use these terms. I'm too old, or I can't change careers at 30, it's too late for that, because they're so sucked into the industry or they feel so committed. But I think one of the points I want to get across in this podcast episode is no one's too old to do anything. And we should be excited and proud of reaching later life. And part of that process is change, progression. We're not meant to stay static. We're not meant to live a very unprogressive life. We're meant to learn, we're meant to grow, we're meant to try new things, we're meant to do new things. So fundamentally, this ageism impact has negative effects on all of us, whether it's as a young person worrying about aging, or as an older person believing that they're too old. So for example, if you believe that after we reach a certain age, we automatically become frail, then we behave in a way that impacts our movement and mobility. So we also make preconceptions about older people as a younger person, and that can then prevent them from and isolate them from doing things like activities or accessing job opportunities, and exclusion in certain areas, for example, fashion representation or beauty representation. Because this idea of being old is ugly and dull and boring, when in fact it's not, and we are in fact discriminating against older people by forgetting them as a demographic or neglecting them as a demographic. So the most obvious harm that this can cause is mental health. So repeated negative portrayals of older people, or the absence of positive portrayals, can lead to poor body image or increased pessimism and anxiety about getting older. I have experienced huge anxiety about aging, and often every birthday that people reach, they kind of get worried and maybe aren't able to enjoy it because of this fear of moving forward with their life, but also these negative beliefs we have about aging and that it's all downhill from there. So ageism by omission leads to a failure to design and build age-friendly homes and communities. So inaccessible transport or accessible streets and public spaces and facilities that aren't suitable, for example, toilets or stairs. And despite this increasing aging population, we're not really doing anything about it, and we're not making any difference now, even though now we are much more aware of ageism and aging and how, as a population, we are growing. So for this next part of the episode, I want to talk about grey hair. I am 27 and I have a lot of grey hair. I come from an Asian background, and a lot of Asian people have grey hair from a very young age. My dad, one of them, 19, was half grey. And it's not something that I'm ashamed of, and it's not something that I tried to cover up. But it took me a long time to get to that point because I've constantly been told by friends and family and very, very close loved ones that I need to dye my hair. But I reached a point where, one, I didn't really care, and two, I like my grey hair. So I wanted to dig deeper into why people kept telling me that I needed to dye my hair. I work in mental health hospitals, and when it comes to patients, they don't necessarily have filters or a social awareness and can outrightly say, "You're so grey, you're so young. Like, why are you so grey? Why don't you dye your hair?" You know, and I've experienced that so much working in my industry. So the perception of grey hair as a negative attribute is largely rooted in cultural and societal attitudes towards aging and beauty standards. Throughout history, various societies have associated youthfulness and vitality, health and attractiveness, while aging has often been linked to the decline and frailty. And in fact, what we're finding now from research and case studies is that as we age, it doesn't necessarily have to be associated to decline and frailty. Lifestyle has a big part to play in the way that we age and the impact that that has on later life. So this perspective has influenced the way that people perceive signs of aging, including the natural process of hair turning grey. So in many cultures, particularly in the Western world, youthfulness is often idealized. And there is a strong emphasis on maintaining a youthful appearance. So grey hair is seen as a visible sign of aging, and some people associate it with a loss of physical attractiveness and vitality. The perception is reinforced by the media, advertising, and popular culture, where images of youthfulness are frequently used to sell products and convey a sense of beauty and desirability. So, I don't know if you know, but in the 50s, a lot of beauty companies were coming out with dye your hair and marketing hair dye. And a big part of that hair dye campaign was to cover up your greys. And this has just been passed down generation to generation. And people have been convinced and told and now believe that grey hairs are something that we should cover up. But historically, grey hair has been linked to wisdom and experience in some cultures. But the negative connotations massively overshadow these positive associations. Additionally, the fear of aging and the desire to combat its visible signs have led to the widespread use of hair dyes and other products designed to conceal or reverse the greying process. Now, this can also be looked at from a skin perspective. You know, anti-aging products. We're encouraged to stop aging, which is essentially impossible. And I know there are some crazy research studies out there promoting the fact that if you take this pill or this supplement, you can stop the aging process by 80%. It is honestly ridiculous. So it's important to note that attitude towards grey hair varies across different cultures and societies. And in some cultures, grey hair is referred as a symbol of wisdom and maturity. And there is less emphasis on maintaining a perpetually youthful appearance. So as societal perspectives, oh gosh, this sentence is easy to say. As societal perspectives continue to evolve, there is a growing movement towards embracing natural signs of aging and challenging conventional beauty standards. And if you are on social media, I would 100% recommend to follow pro-aging influencers because they have changed my perspective and understanding of what it is to age, and have allowed me to make this conscious decision that I want to age well. I'm not afraid of my skin changing. I'm not afraid of my hair going white. I'm looking forward to a later life. I'm working really hard now so that when I'm older, I don't have to work so hard and I can really enjoy purpose and opportunity and not have to worry about the financial strain, but also that I'm physically mobile and strong enough to actually do things and not worry about getting to places and not worrying about transport. And I think that that's such an important part of tackling the ageism industry, or I don't know what to call it, the ageism approach, and identifying and highlighting to everybody that aging is so natural and it's something to look forward to. It's something to not worry about. I listen to a lot of mindfulness podcasts, and when you're worried and anxious, you're usually worried about the past or anxious about the future, something that hasn't happened yet, or something that's happened and you can't do anything about it, or you can't do anything to change it. So being present is so important, and taking each day by day. And if we stop worrying about the future, we stop worrying about what it is going to be like to age. But at the same time, we need to focus on maintaining a proactive lifestyle in the present. Are we moving regularly? Are we doing the right things, daily tasks that are going to promote healthy aging, that are going to bring us joy in the moment? And then fundamentally, we don't have to really worry about the future because we're doing everything we possibly can in the now to optimize our life. So that's just a short episode about ageism and what it is to age well without this ageist mentality, because if we have this ageist mentality, we're not going to age well. We're going to create these ideas around what it is to be old or what it is to grow old, and potentially neglect certain areas of health, but also live them, become these beliefs. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's short episode about ageism and grey hair. And if you would like to check out some of my other episodes about how to age well and what we can do to promote better aging, then please feel free, and don't forget to rate and review. Bye.